Let's talk about what happened with the World Central Kitchen workers. Yesterday, the Israeli regime carried out an airstrike on the World Central Kitchen aid workers, a precision missile strike, killing 7 of the aid workers, including an American citizen. Gaza is the most dangerous place in the world right now. Targeting aid workers is a war crime, but it doesn't matter, because they commit war crimes every single day and no one cares and no one does anything. They act with impunity. They lied at first and said it was an accident. But I'd like to remind everybody that this is the same military that brags about how from the sky they can zoom in on a Nike logo on a shoe because that's how good their technology is. Why would they target aid workers, you might ask? Well, first, as I said, they lied and said it was an accident. Then they admitted that it was a purposeful strike. And of course, they said it was because they were targeting a Hamas militant that was supposedly in the car with the aid workers. But of course, like every other time they say everything is Hamas, there was no Hamas militant in this car. We all understand they just say that about everything, right? Literally everything. And in this same Haaretz article, which is an Israeli news outlet, by the way, they admit that they knew that there were aid workers in there, but felt like it was okay to do it anyway. But here again, in another Israeli news outlet, and Israeli army sources say themselves, Gaza aid workers were killed because the IOF officers on the ground do whatever they want. These aid workers were just trying to help people get food. And because of this, they have now closed up operations and pulled more aid out of the strip. So now again, the Palestinians have no food, which is the point. I was just on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter to see the horrific images, you should be, so you can see what they're doing. And in a Telegram channel, they have a bunch of pictures of them once they had already been killed in their channel, and a bunch of people were mocking them and laughing at them and calling them names. Had this happened like a year ago or so, I feel like I would be like, oh my gosh, like how did they get away with like killing an American? But that's such naive thinking. They don't care. They don't care if an American citizen was there that was targeted, as long as it's them doing it. Because I'd like for you to imagine for a second, if this were Russia or Iran, what the response from America would be. But no. Because we've got that demon, John Kirby, coming out from the State Department to not only deny what they did, even though the IOF already admitted it was them, but then scold the reporter. Watch.
Your question presumes, at this very early hour, that it was a deliberate strike, that they knew exactly what they were hitting, that they were hitting aid workers and did it on purpose, and there's no evidence of that. I would also remind you, sir, that we continue to look at incidents as they occur. The State Department has a process in place. And to date, as you and I are speaking, they have not found any incidents where the Israelis have violated international humanitarian law.
Brazen lies from that monster. They are monsters. Our entire State Department, our entire government, the executive branch, the Biden administration, demons. He just sat there and lied through his fucking teeth and said that there was no evidence that it was on purpose when they're saying themselves that it was. Why? Because they know that nothing's going to happen. They know that there aren't going to be any consequences. They know that the U.S. is just going to carry water for them. There have already been multiple documented cases of war crimes and abuses of human rights. That disgusting liar is just going to sit there and lie to your face and tell you that they have found no evidence of that. Bullshit. For those of you who made it this far, I feel like I have to show you another clip because I think that Crystal Ball from Breaking Points summed up what is happening so succinctly and really answers the question as to why we are seeing war crime after war crime after war crime with no accountability.
I want to make this as clear as possible. Israel's actions here and in the Gaza Strip and throughout the region, and our explicit support of that policy has gravely endangered our own service members. We're going to bring you another report in a bit about how, those service members who are going to be sent to build this freaking pier outside the Gaza Strip or connecting the Gaza Strip, they are going to be put at significant risk because, of course, they're going to be right there in a war zone. And while we talk a lot here, of course, about Israel's action, the truth of the matter is people throughout the region see us as just as complicit as they should. I mean, what did we talk about yesterday? How we continue to ship these 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs, even as we go out and pretend to hand-wring our concern about civilian life. So the level of risk that our service members have been put at is extraordinary, and it's indefensible. I mean, as you've discussed before, Sagar, even if you don't care a lick about Palestinian life, even if you don't care, how does this serve our interests as Americans? This is insanity. And Biden clearly because of his ideological fervency, almost fundamentalist commitment to Zionism and the cause of Israel, has put us in an insane, outrageous, indefensible position. And a strike like this, God knows what the fallout is going to be. There are dire warnings coming from the Iranians. There was a statement released saying this attack will have our fierce response. They're, of course, talking about how this is a violation of international law. And that's the other piece of this, is there seems to be an intentional pattern of seeing what the Israelis can get away with. They have violated effectively every humanitarian international law, norm, guideline, whatever you want to call them, you could possibly imagine. Just yesterday, you have IDF soldiers leaving Al-Shifa Hospital, which I'm going to talk about in my monologue, revealing an atrocious massacre, potentially hundreds of individuals killed, many of whom proven to be civilians, including a number of doctors, medical staff who were killed, children, field executions at this hospital, which is supposed to be off limits. You have 7 aid workers operating in a deconfliction zone in a clearly marked car, there to try to feed a population that Israel is starving to death, who are targeted and killed. And you have this strike on an embassy, killing a top commander, and leading, again, to God knows what type of escalation here. It is absolute insanity what we're seeing unfold.
That was spot on. And there she's talking about a strike that was carried out on an Iranian consulate in Syria. Consequences? No, we're just going to ignore it. But I'll tell you this. It is that type of impunity and that type of war rattling that not only would they never let Iran or Russia get away with, if you're an American, they're putting you in danger. They are. They're putting all of us in danger. Because what they are fomenting and what they are causing and creating is going to create a backlash. It will. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And while Biden put out this pathetic pandering statement pretending to give a shit about what happened to the aid workers, which I'm not even going to bother reading because it's such horseshit, this is what his administration is actually doing behind the scenes. Set to greenlight $18 billion in sales of F-15 fighter jets to Israel. So he can pretend like he's so upset and so concerned about those aid workers that were purposefully targeted. But he doesn't give a shit. Because behind the scenes and behind all that empty rhetoric, this is the policy. You're wondering why you're fucking broke? You're wondering why we don't have anything in this country? That's why. I don't think some people understand the scale of the destruction of what's happening in Gaza. This is a population that is being starved on purpose. This is a population that is trapped in a cage. They have nowhere to go. They've got nowhere to run. They have nowhere to hide. And even when aid workers do try to come in, by them targeting that aid truck, that was to send a message. Don't you dare try to come in here and feed anybody, or else. And the sad thing is that these families probably won't get justice, just like Shireen Abu Akleh. They'll just say, oh, we're really sad. It was an accident. And then that'll be the end of it. Meanwhile, you got their citizens in group chats after taking our money, laughing at the deaths of all of these aid workers, just like they laughed and celebrated Rachel Corrie's death in 2003. But tell me about Russia and Iran again.